Ah, it's Godzilla! And with the fact that Bandai and SH Monster Arts actually has the license, it really is Godzilla! Ah! Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is ZillaFan85, and I'm back today with my latest video, my latest figure review here. And, of course, as always, I do represent YouTube's bargain basement of the airwaves. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my SH MonsterArts 1964 Godzilla figure. Oh yes. Excuse the crudeness for the little skit at the beginning. I just felt like trying something a little bit different just to keep you guys on your toes, if you don't mind. I know it wasn't very well planned out, but yeah, we get the job done here. That's why I'm the bargain basement of YouTube's airwaves. Anyways, though, folks, really a figure that I definitely very much love having in my collection. I'm a big fan of the Mosu Goji, as this design is known as, of course, featured in the 1964 film. In particular, Mothra versus Godzilla. They used a revamped version of this design for the follow-up film in 1964, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, of course, or Ghidorah, however you want to pronounce it. As Clark Griswold would say, that's Monster Zero to you and me. Anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and jump into this figure view here. Again, very, very much looking forward to doing this one. I love this Godzilla design, and I love this figure. So let's go ahead and start with the paint and the detail here. So, of course, Godzilla, that signature charcoalish gray color. Very indicative of his design. This is the initial release of the MonsterArts 64. This is not the Emergence version, which had that dusty dirt look about it when he was supposed to be emerging from the sand after the typhoon at the during his first appearance in the film. So this is the initial release, which is just the standard version of this figure. So. But again, very, very cool, that charcoalish gray color. We'll take a look here at the face, and this is one of my favorite parts of this design. I absolutely love his face. Very, very menacing looking here. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. Let's see if I can just try to make sure the lighting looks good for you guys. So you guys see definitely a signature trait of this design is those pronounced eyebrows, I should say. So looks very, very cool, very menacing looking. I really love that, and it's done in this sort of deeper color to make it even look more pronounced than the skin tone for the charcoalish color otherwise. But very, very cool. You got the nostrils there. You got the sort of flappy jowls, which suit actor Haruo Nakajima did trip during that scene at the pagoda, which Ishiro Honda liked, so they kept that part in the film. I thought it made it look more realistic when that happened too, but I believe if I heard the story correct, it kind of snapped the jaw on him, and that's why he had that sort of flappy, jowly trait that was going on with his jaws. But I always like that about this suit, so I thought it kind of added to the design. But very, very indicative of that look. Of course, you got the inside of the mouth, you got the teeth here, done in this, I would say this creamish bone color is what I would probably best denote those as. You have I know it's a little, just because the way the camera will kind of pick it up, but it's like a very deep red for the tongue, if you guys can hopefully see, and then the same for the roof of the mouth. Nice detail work all done for the roof of the mouth as well, and of course on the tongue. Looks really, really good. On the inside of the mouth, you got the rivets on the top of his head here, along with the scales and whatnot along his face. That goes down into the neck there, all the scaly look about it. And you even got some, you got that design patterning, line segments and whatnot on the neck, and you got a little bit of that feature of the suit accurate look if you kind of look at it with like where the holes would be, where the suit actor would look out. So you can kind of see that a little bit on here. So very, very cool. I really like that. Again, you got all the scales running down the arms, and of course the chest and abdomen area, and also the chest and abdomen has this this greenish highlight on it as well, and you've got the same for the kneecaps there, which is actually indicative of this design as well. So again, very screen accurate, I think. Really, really cool. Again, you got some musculature for the arms along with the scales, and of course you got that like a darker cream bone color than the teeth, which is done for the finger claws as well as the toe claws here, and they're on both accounts nice and sharp to the touch. Really, really cool. You got the detail work for the palms, and there looks really, really nice. And all the scales and segments on the neck here, and all the scales running down his body there. All that charcoalish gray for the main paint scheme. Get more musculature look about the legs here as well. Looks nice. You got the nice pronounced kneecaps there. And of course you got the detail work done for the feet here on the top and on the bottom. And of course on the bottom, you not just the detail, but that's where you got your trademark information as well. With the Toho Company Limited, Bandai China, and 2013 copyright, which was when MonsterArts produced this figure. And if I'm correct, I believe Yuji Sakai did sculpt this, and it definitely shows because the sculpt work is second to none in my opinion. And then of course you got more of the scales running down the tail. As you guys can see on the top, and then the segmented parts on the bottom there with all the lines and segments. Here, it looks really, really nice. And then, of course, his dorsal plates running down from the back of the neck all the way. You got the, the 3 rows of the dorsal plates that protrude out. And, of course, as the Showa Godzilla especially is known for, where the center row of the dorsal plates are much larger than the outer rows. Very, very pronounced. And, of course, all that detail work done on them. So they have this like this sort of smoky, like a smoky creamish gray, I would almost call it. It's a bit hard to discern, but that's kind of the best way I can describe it. Done for the outer pointy or jaggedy edges of the dorsal plates, and then of course it kind of blends into a little bit, that smokiness blends into a bit of the charcoalish color as you head towards the center of the dorsal plate. So hopefully you guys are able to pick that up. Now, one thing to note, yes, there is that gap on this figure. That's kind of one of the things that people denote about this particular Godzilla figure here, but it was done to try to give the articulation some extra range of movement, essentially. But to me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really mind it, honestly. But just taking a look at that and how the that color on the dorsal plates pretty much lasts throughout the tail until you get to near the tip, and you can still see that paint scheme and the detail work for the dorsal plates as you get down towards the tip. So looks really, really nice, I think so. And other than that, I think that pretty much covers that for the paint and the detail work on this guy. Let's go ahead and take a look at articulation. So we'll start here at the jaw. And again, as MonsterArts, most of their figures go, it's basically a series of ball joints done throughout. So you get a ball jointed jaw here, which can open and close, so you can see it, and pretty much close. I think somebody said, I saw one time, that doesn't close all the way, but I got this pretty much completely closed. So, and you can see the fangs kind of protrude out, which is another thing of this Godzilla's design, which I really, really like. And of course, that can open back up, and doesn't open too wide. That's about as far as it goes, but I think it looks pretty good nonetheless. And of course, you got a ball joint here where the head joins into the top of the neck. So you can get them to look up like that and get them to look down. Of course, you can turn side to side. You can get a little bit of tilt give that Godzilla some attitude there. And of course, if you want to turn it, you can go all the way around. I don't usually like to do that, but just to show you guys the range of movement that you can get there. Now you've got another ball joint. Let's see, you got, a couple extra. You got a ball joint here at this point in the neck, so you can see where it's segmented off there, and that's just to add range of motion there, as you guys can see. And then of course you got a third ball joint here at the bottom of the neck where it joins into the shoulder area, and again that's to help with the range of motion. So you can see him looking up like that, down like that, of course more turning, and it could pop off like that if you strain it too much, but ball joints, they do pop back on, so no iggy biggy. Now I've got ball joints here at the shoulders, and again, when you rotate them a lot, they can end up popping out of place, so you got to pop them back in. But you can get them to, you can essentially move it all the way around, but as you can see there, it does want to pop out. It's a little tight on mine, so but you can move it a little bit without it popping out of place. You can get it to move about like that freely, at least on mine anyways, I guess, because these joints are a little bit stiff here. So as you can see, it keeps wanting to pop out of place. So, but then you get sort of this double access ball joint here at the elbows on both sides of the arms, so you can get them to hinge, and of course you can get rotation out of that as well. So you guys can see there, hinge and a little bit of rotation. You get some extra rotation there at that secondary part of that joint. And then of course the wrists here, these are of course on ball joints, and you can get swivel and hinge combination out of that. So, and again, the range of motion is not the greatest, I will say, but it does get the job done anyway. So you can do the swivel and hinge combination there. So next up, we've got the joint here at the abdomen area here, where the sort of at that chest abdomen area there, and you can get a bit of an ab crunch there like that. Of course, that's kind of with the part of this kind of splitting like that was to give it greater range of motion. You do that, you can get them to look up, but again, if you force it too much, it can pop out of place. So you gotta pop him back on his joint. But you can straighten them out a bit anyways. So yeah, see with mine I don't move it too much, so that's why the range of motion is a little bit limited, but you can certainly swivel as well and a little bit of tilt out of it, but mostly you're gonna get that ball joint and a little bit back. Like I said, mine's kind of stiff, so I can't move it too much, but just to show you guys. And of course here, the hips there, they join bottom of the waist. You've got that ball joint there with this sort of floating flat piece just to help give a little extra range of motion. So you can get them to do the Godzilla splits a bit here, like that. And you can get them to come in there like that. Come in about that much. Get a bit of rotation out of these, and of course you can kick forward and back. And if it's loose enough, you can go all the way around. But again, you're just going to risk it popping out of place. So just to keep that in mind. Again, that's sort of another double access ball joint here at the knees, just like with the elbows. So you can get a bit of a knee bend there. And get it to come out and in. Again, mine's kind of limited, but on this side, it actually moves a little bit more. So you guys can see that. And of course you can swivel it as well on both sides. And then of course at the ankles on both sides, you got the ball joint there. So you can hinge it back and forward on both sides. Again, this leg seems to have better range of motion, but I just want to showcase both. And of course, you do have the ankle rocker for the pivot on both feet there at the ankles. So, and you can spin them as well. And yeah, you could probably turn them 360 if you want, but again, it might pop out of place. So now the one sort of difference here is from the ball jointed parts, you do have a hinge for the toe joints on both feet here, so you can get a little extra range of motion, so you can see where that joint is in place, so you can hinge the feet forward and back. Again, I don't get a lot of range of motion out of it, but you can get a little bit of a hinge at the toe. And again, you know, depending on your particular figure, your mileage will vary, so you may have better range of motion. So it just depends. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we've got the tail here. And there, of course, are multiple ball jointed segments done throughout the tail, with the final segment being, let's see, right here. You see, guys, see where this joint is here? That's your final segment. But basically, you can do different poses there. Again, though, if you do stress it too much, the joint will want to tend to pop out of place. So, but I just want to show you guys anyway, so you can get them in different poses. So, and you get a nice range. I mean, it's not the longest tail. As you guys can see, MonsterArts has made tails that have been a lot longer than this, but for what it is, you actually still get pretty good range of motion. I know that 1972 Godzilla that they recently put out supposed to have really good articulation in the tail, but I'll see if eventually I pick that one up. But for now, though, really enjoying this guy here, the 64. And other than that, that pretty much does wrap up the articulation here. And so let's go ahead and take a look at sizing next. So, got the ruler first. And let's make sure he's standing up. Now, that's the one thing to note with this, too, is because they were going to try, and this was the first Showa era Godzilla figure that MonsterArts released, and they were going to try to do their own scale with this. So they actually made this this guy a little bit shorter than like your other figures in the line. They kind of went away from doing that after this guy, so he's kind of an anomaly as far as that goes. But you can look at his size here. Now he's definitely, again, he is definitely a bit undersized. I'll showcase for you with the camera. If you're looking at about the top of the head there, you're looking at about 5.5 inches. So, again, a little undersized for like the 6 to 7 inch figures, but I mean, still not bad anyways, you know. And again, I still think he looks really cool on a shelf. So as far as the display goes, really awesome figure either way. But just as a size comparison, I want to show him with a counterpart 1964 Godzilla, and that being my YMSF 1964 Godzilla, which I really love this figure. I think they did like a really cool stance for him, so he's kind of hunched forward a bit. But you can see, though, even with that, you guys can see that he's still standing tall over the MonsterArts 64. So just a showcase for you guys there. So again, just so you guys can see the size difference on them there. So it's definitely noticeable. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is as far as the size goes. I don't mind it too much. So next up, we're going to go ahead, though, and look at pricing here. And bear with me just for a moment. All right, sorry, folks, just taking a quick pause here just to check something. But anyways, so back to this as far as pricing goes. Now, that's the thing. Again, this figure was released in 2013. So it's, again, we're looking at an 11 years old at this point, essentially. So unfortunately, you're going to have to look at the aftermarket for this guy, and it's kind of really definitely through the roof, I would say, unfortunately. From prices, and your best bet is going to maybe look on eBay, potentially Facebook Marketplace, things like that. But from what I've seen on the original release of the MonsterArts 64 Godzilla, you're looking at around $200 and up. Would I say that this is a $200 figure? I can't go that far to say that. The Emergence version, which was released a few years later, that one again is also in the aftermarket. The prices are not as bad on those. I've seen them for about $150 and up, and that one does come with a beam effect. You get his atomic breath effect piece as an accessory with that, which this one doesn't get that. You just get the vanilla figure and that's it. Either way, those are priced, especially it's a smaller figure. The detail is great on it and all, but that's a lot of money to have to pay. So I don't know that I can recommend it for those prices. However, if you can maybe find a deal on this one, and you're at least somewhat willing to pay to play, I mean, I still think this is an awesome figure at the end of the day. So from that standpoint, I do recommend it. Just try and be mindful and try to see if you can get a good deal on this. But again, it's really a great figure that MonsterArts put out here, I think. And other than that, I think that about wraps it up for this video, folks. I would like to thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara. Run! It's Godzilla! Sayonara, folks.